Greetings, heroes and Force users. Welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Alyssa Simmons, and I'm joined today by my pal, Dino Nicandros.
Hello.
And today we are talking all about Season 3 of The Bad Batch. That's right, we're back talking about The Bad Batch. It was developed by Dave Filoni and Jennifer Corbett, and most of the episodes were directed by Brad Rau. And by God, we're Star Wars fans.
I don't know who you are or where you came from.
I am Iron.
I thought they smelled bad. On the outside.
Smells like a new car in here.
Inside the Tauntaun, this is our opening song. Alyssa and Dino talking nerd stuff, come along. Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
Hello, Alyssa.
Hi, Dino. How you doing?
I'm better now.
Oh, good.
Our faithful Daniel isn't here. He's usually the glue piece that keeps.
Yes, he's always here.
He's always
that guy's
here.
always here.
But Daniel, as I'm sure we'll tell you on our next episode, has wandered off to Peru.
Yeah, just doing a little Machu Picchu adventure. He's hitting all the ancient landmarks this year, I guess.
Well, I asked him which musical he plans on booking while he's in Peru.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be getting a lengthy request of self-tapes.
Perhaps the
and maybe
Emperor's
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
I actually heard that is in development in
I'm
London.
sure it is.
So,
I'm positive it is.
Yeah. So, actually, he would be an incredible Cusco.
Yes, he would. This
that'd
is
be a
an
perfect
official
part for him.
endorsement.
All right, make it happen, universe.
All right. Well, we haven't spoken Bad Batch since
No, last year?
we did the 3-episode premiere.
Oh, that's right. We did talk
And then
about
we
the
haven't-
first 3
then we
episodes,
haven't-
and we
we
haven't
haven't-
talked about the rest of them.
Right.
Well, here we are talking about the rest of them.
The other 13.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So
and
what
we
were
will
your
be spending
generals?
we're going to be spending an hour on each episode, I think. So
Yeah, this is going to be a long
So,
one. Just a full half
gird your
marathon
loins.
of a...
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well,
b-
I really liked this season. I
yeah.
know I haven't always had the nicest things to say about this show. We liked, generally, I think season 1 we liked.
We
There
did.
were still some like filler episodes where we felt like the side quest thing was kind of happening a lot.
Yeah.
Season 2 kind of felt like other than Tech's death, season 2 kind of felt like a big side quest to me. But season 3, I was really into this. I really liked the storytelling.
And in that vein, I'll pose a question to you. So, going back all the way to season 1 when we were theorizing about where this all could potentially go, how did this meet you, or how did the conclusion season 3 as a totality being a conclusion, how did it meet your expectations at all, or were you kind of surprised by how they ended it?
I was really surprised by the way they ended it. I think, and I can speak for Daniel because he said this multiple times and also in text messages, we both thought that the show was going to end with at least most of them dying.
Yeah.
It felt just kind of like that was where this was going. How could it not go that way? But I guess with the introduction of, what is that island called?
Pabu.
Yes, I knew it started with a P. That's where they ended up, and that's where they got to live the rest of their days not fighting anymore. And I really liked that a lot. I know some people maybe didn't, but particularly with like where my heart and mind are at in life right now, I was just like, please don't let it be something like horribly awful.
Just let him ride off into the sunset.
Just let him do something nice, please. And They did. They really did,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it wasn't what I was expecting, but I was really glad that they went this way.
Yeah.
What about you? What were your expectations? Were they met? Were they not met?
As far as the Bad Batch themselves go, yes, I was surprised. I was in the camp of some, if not all, die
Yeah,
breaking Omega out, and
sure.
it's more clean from a narrative standpoint in that you don't have to address where they've been
Been
during the
chilling
Civil War
for
and all that.
Mhm. Yeah.
But this works, and like you, I'm I'm totally down for a retirement after
All the
the
hell that
lives
they've
they've
been
lived.
through. Jeez. Yeah.
And on a larger scale, I'll go back to I think what my at the end of season one, which we covered pretty exhaustively.
Yeah, we did almost
I
an
think we
episode
almost
per
every episode.
Mhm.
This that was what 3 years, so that was the height of the pandemic.
Yeah, we had the
But
time.
we had the time, certainly. Uh, I think I theorized that there would be a big clone uprising,
Uh-huh.
and then it would, be violently put down, and that kind of solves, it explains the stormtroopers and narratively solves the rest of it.
Mhm.
So I was surprised how they actually chose to address all that, and over the course of this season, well, really going back to last season a little bit, but primarily in this season, seeing Rex run which was akin to like an underground railroad, maybe not
Yeah.
along racial lines, but for clones who have broken their programming and have
Mhm.
left Imperial service and want a second chance at doing something else. And so it wasn't as large and sweeping and epic and thank God as violent as
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I expected it to be. But the idea of weaving the clones, be it the Bad Batch or everybody at Rex and company, who we know go on to serve in the rebellion, but weaving them in as another group of the rebellion uh, is really interesting, and it does leave the door open uh, to tell some more stories, maybe with
Mhm.
more familiar characters, but still tug on the clone thread. Um,
Right, right.
uh, but but I like the idea of this season, really the end of season 2 through season 3 being the final nail in the coffin for the prequel era, I think. And this really does put the Clone Wars to
Yep.
bed finally.
Yeah.
Um, and I do genuinely like how they chose to end it. Yeah, I was satisfied. Like you, I think there was still a little filler in this season, and I don't like to use that word anymore because Mandalorian taught us that even the filler
Of
episodes
course,
ended
of
up
course.
being important. But
Mhm.
still, here, like I don't know, including Fennec and even Asajj a little bit. Her role was a little more, I
Yeah,
think.
that was a surprising choice to me. I was like, we're gonna bring her back, but just for this? Like, I mean, that really could have been any character.
Yeah.
I think that they wanted to bring her back,
Oh, well,
which I
yes.
understand.
I mean,
But it's
totally.
like,
She's a great character, but
yeah, but it's like, it didn't. For me, it didn't like it didn't dramatically change that whole plot line. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Of
yeah,
them finding out for sure about Omega's M count and about all of that. So it didn't. It
yeah. And
could
Fennec
have
was
been.
kind of the same way.
Fennec was the same thing. Yeah, it was just kind of like
It was an
there.
episode where like Fennec's helping them. She confirms bits of information,
Yeah, she's like,
and
you help me with this thing, I'll help you with this
yeah,
thing. It was
yeah, yeah.
very transactional,
Right.
video game moment. And then,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, it's always exciting to see these characters come back, but I do think, I do think it needs to be like purposeful, I
Yes.
guess.
But by and large, I felt this season was the momentum was always there, and there was
Mhm.
uh I think the threat felt bigger, and they did a
It
really good
did,
job. We
yeah.
did cover the first 3 episodes, so uh, right out the gate, we got a very good look at the stakes, and obviously we've talked about Project Necromancer and
Mhm.
how even more effort is being made to um, extrapolate the themes from the sequel trilogy and perhaps make them a bit more digestible. It,
How did you feel about Crosshair's arc in
s-
this season?
so I would say out of all the things I anticipated, that uh, I
We knew
expected
that
that.
was
I
coming.
think.
Yeah, we knew that was
But
coming.
that said, though, I really like how it played out. Somebody very much at war with themself,
Mhm.
and it makes it makes a character more interesting when their greatest enemy is themselves.
Yeah.
And uh, I also liked watching the interplay between Crosshair and Hunter,
Mhm.
who have taken turns over the course of 3 seasons. Uh, they both have kind of stood in a leadership role in the group, I think. And
Yeah.
Hunter being the we'll call him the emotional center,
Mhm.
maybe the heartbeat, and I would maybe say Crosshair is uh the brains
Mhm.
of the operation. And watching, as this season wound down, watching the two of them fight side by side and really lean into to what makes them unique. And then even the way it ended, again, I knew his redemption was coming.
Yeah.
But seeing what kind of impact Omega had on him, and him finding peace, even
Mhm.
it's tricky, and it's a slippery slope because he's done some bad stuff,
Yeah.
and for the larger portion of the Bad Batch, he's been doing bad stuff. But a lot of that was, if not all of that, was programming. So you do hope somebody like that can find peace,
Mhm.
and I'm glad he did. And I think it's one of the more interesting storylines in kind of all of the stories that involve clones. I think
Mhm.
Crosshair is maybe the most interesting of the bunch because Rex is Rex.
Yeah.
He's your typical hero. Love him.
Yeah. The other Bad Batch guys knew that they were
Yeah,
different, so they knew that they would be doing their own thing.
right,
But this kind of idea that like he dedicated himself to something like for the sense of like duty and for the
right.
sense of like even when his programming was off the table, it's like he was still doing that, and then to have him have the storyline of really discovering how they couldn't give a rat's ass about him and his
Yeah,
duty. And yeah, I just thought it was, I mean, we all speculated that obviously that Omega was going to be the thing that kind of allowed him to come back into the group. Um
yeah,
but yeah, I thought that that was a really really interesting arc, and watching the wheels and the cogs kind of turning with him in uh being like, "Oh, this is I know what it feels like to have, the family relationship with the other guys from the group, but to have this person who knows that I've done bad things,
yeah,
to have this person who knows that I've done bad things, willing to forgive me and still thinks that I'm a worthwhile creature. There that's a special Star Wars story, you know?
yeah. It is, and the idea that uh, I don't know, it's true to real life that children are trusting
Mhm.
to a fault, and that she never gives up on him, and she tells him as much. She's like, you
I'm not gonna leave you.
like,
Yeah. So
and Star Wars continuing the wonderful theme, no matter how many times it gets recycled, the theme of found family,
mhm.
and um, you don't have to be what you were made to be, or you just because you started in one place doesn't mean you have to end
Yeah.
there. And
Yeah. Change is possible, and
um,
choosing to have hope when you've not had any before in your life is possible.
yeah, and the Bad Batch being kind of again, I go back to like the idea of a clone underground, and the Bad Batch being considered, at first the Republic used them as, special forces, but now they're
Mhm.
considered damaged and other less than,
Right.
suboptimal, whatever kind of charged language you want to use.
Mhm.
I do think they make for a good metaphor in that regard, and I wasn't anticipating that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know what I expected out of Bad Batch as a whole, but I don't think it was deep allegories necessarily. I
Mhm.
think I was more in the camp of, pew pew,
Yeah, for sure.
you know.
Fun adventure-y fight moments and getting themselves in and out of shenanigans and stuff.
Um, Another question for you. So Omega's force sensitivity.
Mhm.
Uh, so we get introduced to it. We know there's something special about her, and
Mhm.
for a couple of years now, we've been
Yeah.
kind of wondering to what extent. Are you okay with the fact that they really didn't? They didn't really.
They didn't
I don't
totally
want to say
tell
they.
us.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
go it. I don't want to say they don't go anywhere with it, but they don't address it.
I
Are you
think
okay with that?
I'm okay with that right now because I have no doubt that Filoni's putting Omega
Yep.
in a live action property,
Yes.
whether it be Ahsoka coming up. I can absolutely see that happening. Um, her interacting with other Rebels characters, like, yeah, I'm okay with it right now. I mean, I guess, yeah, yeah. To answer it shortly, I'm good with them not totally like putting a ribbon on that part of the story. Did you want more definitive
No,
answers?
to be honest, I
Okay.
I
Yeah.
didn't, because I was like, whose story is this?
Yes.
And
Exactly.
while she is the MacGuffin, she literally is the MacGuffin of the
Yep.
entire story.
Mhm.
But it was to flesh out. I think her responsibility as a character was to flesh
Mm.
out the others. Um,
Yes.
like you just said, I am super interested in that, and there will be a time and place, if she chooses to kind of, explore her force sensitivity or learn more about it. There'll be plenty of opportunities for that. And of course, getting to see her serve in the rebellion would be a, a cool
Yeah.
storyline. But
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't overload this with her.
Well, it really didn't need it. That
No,
it wasn't the story. It wasn't the story. And if they would have, it would have felt like, uh, okay, that's a lot.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I have no doubt that uh, they left that open ended for a very
Yeah.
good reason. Um,
Yeah. Do you feel like we're gonna get her like at the age that she is like pretty close to right now? Or do you think we're gonna get like an older Omega, like an Omega in her like 30s and 40s?
so in the epilogue, which is what, 10 years later,
Mm-hmm.
how old is she?
I'm gonna guess that she's like between 18 and
Early 20s,
21.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I honestly, I haven't thought. I don't know when we'll see her pop up again, and it, like you said, maybe it'll be live action. I'm
Maybe in
sure they
another
have.
animated property or
I'm
something. Yeah.
sure they have other animated ideas.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, she could have her own show, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they could explore that further. Like she could be the new, I don't know. I'm interested to see. I haven't talked to really any like kids about this show,
Hmm.
and I would be interested to talk about like cuz particularly like the younger kids who like l- latched on so tightly to Ahsoka.
Yeah.
I'm interested if like Omega was that for younger Star Wars
Interesting.
fans. Because
Yeah.
if that is the case and they really, you know what I mean, they connect with her on that level, like there's no reason why she can't be popping into other stuff.
No, and I remember when we were kind of on our WandaVision kick of trying to guess
Piece
just how many
together all
cameos
the
were going to appear
yeah.
in every series imaginable.
Mhm.
Uh, there are stories to be told as far as, does she eventually have a relationship with Boba Fett or
Yeah, sure.
I mean being related.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I kind of my takeaway was that clones are going to just kind of I don't know, meld into society
Yeah,
and
which is definitely the least violent way for that
yes.
to happen.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
probably
think
for the
we
best.
our minds immediately went to the more violent option. But I will say, and I was waiting for it all season, and I'm glad they didn't do it. I'm glad they didn't bring back Tech.
Yeah. Well, and we weren't talking about this during the season, obviously. There were suggestions that Tech
Was like
was
around.
was one of the
Was one of the
Clone X
necromancer. Yeah,
trooper,
yeah, yeah. If
which
he was, I'm glad that they didn't show his face and have it be this whole thing because yeah, Star Wars and Marvel, basically anything like this, they have, as Daniel says, no body, no death. And it just cheapens the story,
but
I think.
also I agree, and also have we not learned by now that it never happens?
Right.
These things we are certain. And I mean,
Yeah.
the Ahsoka series, we thought Marok, people were like, he's Star
It's
Killer
him.
from the
It's him.
non-canon
We're like,
video game. He's,
mhm.
he's so and so. I'm like, oh my, he's Ezra. That's Ezra. I'm like,
No.
fool me once, shame on Mephisto.
Exactly. Well, Mephisto is all we
Fool
have
me
to say.
twice, shame on me.
Did
Um,
you have a standout episode from this season that you were like that from start to finish was my favorite or one of my favorites?
um, I'm not gonna cop out and say the finale, even though I think
Okay.
objectively it was
Mhm.
the best. I think I kind of feel like the first and last episodes were the best. I did like, was it episode 6 or 7 when Cad
6
Bane shows up?
is infiltration. Cad Bane. Where does Cad Bane come? Oh, I think that might have been a little bit later, actually.
Yeah. I just like seeing him.
I think that he was in Extraction, episode
Yes,
7.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. When he's
Yeah,
he's
when they steal the literal
child.
baby.
Yes.
That I was not expecting that.
No, and
I
that
don't
was
know
one of the
why I wasn't
darker.
either because I mean like I knew they'd kidnapped Omega so many times
Yeah.
and everything, but I guess I just wasn't like it wasn't on my radar that like that it should have been.
Yeah. Well, that was definitely one of the. I mean, it was the dark component
Mhm.
to this season was the very not subtle parallels to Nazis
Mhm.
and Hemlock. He's one of the better and more sinister villains in recent Star Wars, I think.
Yeah.
Just really grotesque and I didn't realize it took me. Let's see. because there were a few weeks in a row where I didn't watch, so I had to catch up. And
Yeah, me too.
I remember thinking Hemlock was voiced by Sam Witwer.
Oh, really?
I
They
could have
have they
sworn
have
that he
they
was.
have similar qualities for sure.
And I was like, "Oh, cool! They got Sam Witwer to
I got
do
Sam.
another." But he was voiced by Jimmy Simpson, and
Who's great.
who is fantastic. But
Hmm.
so I thought it was Witwer for a good long
Yeah,
while. But
they're definitely the like timbre of both of their voices, and
yeah,
in that low kind of like whisper register is very similar.
um, but I mean, the reality is so many episodes, while not being filler, are more setup episodes.
Hmm.
Um,
I
and I
guess
thought,
I guess my thing with this season and why I didn't have an issue with them so much is that I felt like they were still essential.
yes, yeah,
I
yeah,
still
yeah,
I still felt like it was part of the story that was still part of the main arc. Where in season 2, some of those episodes felt like perhaps we just really didn't need them.
yeah,
It was still
yeah.
fun. Like there were still fun shenanigans that the Bad Batch got in and out of, but I was like, and not that, and as you mentioned before, that as Mandalorian, as a lot of these newer shows have taught us, like it doesn't have to be action packed all the time.
No,
But yeah, I felt like I felt like nearly everything in this last season was very purposeful, and yeah, it felt like it felt like a movie. I think Daniel said
yeah,
that in a text to us. Like we got a whole movie worth of storytelling in this last season.
yeah. I think so. And particularly the last few episodes, they did remind me of the final arc of Clone Wars,
Mm,
in that they take on a decidedly more cinematic feel. There's the heightened stakes, the sense of dread, the uh yeah, important themes
mhm.
being resolved, and then of course, as we always like to talk about, what is the end game for what's it setting up. Um,
Yes.
I am fascinated uh, with where they left Project Necromancer, and so Tarkin comes in and sweeps up
Scraps it
the
all basically.
sweeps up the garbage and basically diverts all of the attention to Stardust, which is the Death
Mhm.
Star
Death Star.
project. So it made me kind of wonder who and when does Necromancer get picked up again,
Picked
and
up by.
is it not until Gideon
Mhm.
and all of those guys, or what happens to it, and is all the information really destroyed? Because remember, Nala say,
Yeah, she
in
was
a
like,
really
if
really tragic
oh my
kind of
gosh,
ending
yeah.
for her. What a character she became. She came a long way from Attack of the Clones,
She sure did.
but essentially destroyed all of her research.
Mhm.
Um, I wonder if everything from that base was destroyed, or
Somebody got out of there with
yeah,
something.
something.
Yeah.
Um, but I am surprised that it kind of put a bookend on it
For now.
for now. And I
Yeah.
thought perhaps there would be more of an effort to show that the program continues. Um, I don't know.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite moments from the finale was when Hemlock had Omega
Hmm,
like by the neck or whatever,
hmm.
and Hunter and Wrecker were about to get her, and Crosshair. And to me, this felt like just a really nice kind of conclusion, because the whole way through, even though they have Omega, like they never trust her. She's always this
Yeah,
like flight risk, right?
right.
She's this little flighty kid that somehow gets them into more trouble. And Yeah, I think it's Hunter that says, like, "No, she knows what to do. Let her do this and then make the shot."
Yep.
So that was a nice full circle moment where it was
Yep.
like they've trained her. They know that, like, I mean, the whole escape and the reason that they were even able to find her is because of how she laid everything out for them. I mean,
Right.
she was willing to be taken so that they could actually get those kids to safety and everything.
Right.
So, yeah, that was a cool moment. And Crosshair's final, like, yeah, you're right. She will know what to do.
Yeah.
It was great. Great
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, it was. And then speaking of somebody like Hemlock, even a minor character like him getting exactly what he deserved, and
Mhm.
just all of these people are driven by just blind ambition and greed, and um, so I'm glad he ate it.
He got what was coming to him.
Taste it, Hemlock. Um,
A very
what?
classic Star Wars bridge fall. There's a
Yes,
lot of bridge
yes.
falls,
Well,
shaft falls.
that final confrontation on the bridge,
Mhm.
where you see Hemlock kind of making all these calculations, like, I'll kill her. I will jump. I mean, I'll jump off with her. I mean, like,
Right.
it was very, very tense.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really like how they. I don't know. I'll reiterate it. I was surprised that Bad Batch reached the level of stakes that it
Yeah.
did, and still ended with with everybody intact. They were able to achieve both outcomes
Yeah.
of real
Well, because
danger, but
one of the kind of, I wouldn't even say critiques, but just, I guess, things that we noticed about seasons 1 and 2 is that there were moments where the stakes were high, but it always kind of felt like they got through it. They had a
yeah,
challenge, and it's like they solved the thing and they got the money to the right people and they
right,
didn't die. Everything's good. It kind of just felt not easy, but it felt just like they were always getting through, and not even by the skin of their teeth. Like they were just getting through.
right,
So it felt really heavy,
yeah,
particularly the last, like, 5 episodes of this season. I was like, I actually don't know. And, like, starting the finale, I was like, I don't know how they're going to end this. I don't know how.
yeah,
I was like, I have a feeling they'll get Omega out. They'll get Omega and the kids out. I just don't know what will become of everyone else. And so that's always a fun thing to, like, go into a finale and be like, "Oh,
yeah, right.
I really don't know." That's fun.
Justice for the Zelo Beast. Uh,
Yeah.
After what 15, 16 years of torment and
Uh,
captivity, and
yeah.
a Zelo Beast finally gets the high ground and runs off into the jungle. Uh,
Yeah.
that was a very cool sequence,
Mhm.
breaking the Zelo Beast out. I don't know. Again, I'll go back to Project Necromancer. I
Mhm.
did think we were going to get more answers, um,
Mm.
as far as what, like, obviously we, when we speak about this, we know what it ends up as, the
Yeah.
return of Palpatine, but what the use of these force sensitive children is, and what is the immediate goal.
Mhm.
Because even, I don't know, even, what are we, we're 40 years out from Force Awakens, and
Yeah,
what,
about. Mhm.
43 years out from Rise of Skywalker. So what was was the primary goal always to clone Palpatine, or was it to create, a limitless supply of troops, or adding force sensitive agents to the
Mm-hmm.
his
Arsenal.
military? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have liked to maybe gotten more insight in that regard, even into these these clone X troopers, and um yeah, it left a lot to the imagination, which I suppose is fine.
Yeah.
That's not always a bad thing, but yeah, I'll be curious to see if this was kind of used as yet another stepping stone to the Mandalorian movie,
Mm-hmm.
the quote unquote heir to the Empire movie.
Yeah.
Maybe perhaps.
I feel like this is a long game, this particular storyline for Filoni.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it would have been nice to have at least one little sprinkle of an answer
yeah,
in this one. But I do think it's coming. I do think those
yes,
answers are coming. Obviously,
yes,
we know that they're trying to do what they do in Star Wars, which is make other choices make more sense. And that's just
yes.
the way Star Wars has been
Certainly, yes.
always.
I
So,
mean, really, it really is from the very beginning.
very beginning. Yeah.
People don't like to hear that George did not have Empire planned out
No,
when he
he
made A
really
New Hope,
didn't.
because he thought it was going to fail
Yeah.
epically. Uh,
So that is the fun of Star Wars, and that's the fun of
yes,
all of these brilliant people that work on it. And we're lucky that we live in a time where we have the Filonis and the Favreaus and the Deborah Chows and all those people that are enormous Star Wars nerds that want to make good things.
right,
So,
right. I'm thinking of the resolution for other characters. Dr. Carr, Emery Carr.
mm-hmm.
Um, she does, and also semi-predictable, but she found her redemption as well, and
Yeah.
she's living the high life on Pabu now. Um, who else? Did we miss any?
Any of the main peeps? I don't think so.
I think they're all accounted for.
Yeah.
Um, what would be your preference to see these guys again in animated form, or perhaps on the small or big screen, live action?
Oh gosh. I think it would be cool to see them live action just because we haven't seen any of these characters live action.
And one would have to assume Tamara Morrison would be playing all of these
Mm-hmm.
guys.
Yeah. Or some other guy that looks like him.
Yeah.
I guess. Um yeah, what about you? Do you have a preference of how you'd like to see him again?
I mean, I certainly would want to see them again. If it's the right story, I think animated,
Mhm.
honestly.
Okay.
I'm as they're building to another crescendo in the live action universe. I don't know if I want to crowd it with more characters that some general audiences may not have
Sure.
had any access to, or any prior knowledge of. And I
Yeah.
think it saves you narrative burdens.
You don't have to
So
take the time to be like, this is who they are and that's why they're
Ahsoka, you were in a tough
important.
spot because on the one hand, Star Wars fans absolutely lost their minds at
Mhm.
it being a direct sequel to Rebels.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen Rebels, you can watch it and you can piece together
Yeah.
relationships and
I've
all
talked
that.
to some people who didn't watch Rebels but watched Ahsoka, and the general consensus was like they still really enjoyed themselves, but they were
Yeah.
like there were definite I was talking to somebody at work about this the other day. They were like, but I just felt so many moments where I was like, I know that this would mean more if I knew why it's
A lot
so
of it, yeah.
meaningful. And so, yeah, for sure. I think you can watch it, but it enhances obviously there's
Yeah.
years and years and years of story before
So I
this.
do think that's where the danger
Mhm.
comes in of trying to put
Shoving in these characters.
yeah. And Omega, yeah, I would like to see her force sensitivity explored a bit.
I mean,
But
to
we
be
are
honest, like, I don't know why I thought this just now. Like, I think that like Omega's story could be a great video game.
sure.
I do.
Sure.
Let's have like her from like this moment going to join the rebellion. Like, let's have a video game. That'd be fun.
Also, we don't need to explore her force sensitivity.
Yeah, we don't have to. We can just
There's
be there
something
and
she chooses to be a pilot, and we
Mhm.
never address it again. I don't know.
Well,
Only
in a
because
lot of ways too, because I mean, she was told like you don't have a high M count. Like there is something with your blood that the Empire wants, but
well, and I'm glad you brought that up because it further reinforces. And George Lucas did say anybody. No, but people don't believe this, but this is from George Lucas's mouth that anybody can access the Force, but whether you are skillful enough to wield it, I mean, some are definitely more talented than
yeah. But
others,
that
and
yeah, totally. I thought of like I thought of Finn,
yeah,
obviously. Like I'm guessing they checked his blood prior to becoming a trooper, you know? Like he probably does not have a high M count, but
or he might, and
they wanted
the new
him.
Rey movie is going to address his
Could be.
because the Rise of Skywalker
Just really
teased us and then said, "Nah."
just kidding.
But I do think the show, as far as M count, midichlorian count goes, and I'm going to say the word, so don't get triggered, everybody. It's here to stay. So
We just hear screaming on the other line.
yeah, there. You can. I mean, calling it M count doesn't change what it is.
That's still the midichlorians. Yeah.
But I do think the series was trying to not only take George's view of the Force, but also what was kind of introduced into the sequel trilogy of. I think Ryan Johnson's really the one who pushed the effort along, that the Force.
You said his name too, making so
I
many
did.
people
Oh my
scream.
god, I am making so many enemies. I can hear the horde. But that the Force can be used by anybody, and it speaks to everyone.
Mhm.
And for a time, I thought even that's what the title Force Awakens was hinting at. And it is to a degree, but mostly in Rey.
Yeah.
But this idea that the Force can reach out to anyone.
Yeah.
So if that's all that comes of, the hinting of Omega's Force sensitivity, then I think that's worth it. I think
Sure.
it just reinforces the rules of the galaxy, and that's perfectly valid, and it doesn't need to go any further than that. But if it does, I'll be excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. Did you? I know I haven't listened to your and Daniel's episode about Tales of the Empire because I hadn't watched it yet, but now I have watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And how was your? I know we're getting off topic, but how was your May the 4th? Did you end up going to the movies? Did you see Phantom Menace in theaters?
No, we were supposed to go, but something came up. But
okay.
But it was a quiet May the 4th. But I binged. Obviously, I binged
Tales
of the Empire, and
that was great. That was really great.
Man,
wow.
The writing is just chef's
it's really
kiss.
really good.
I mean, come on,
really good writing, and
get that on the big screen. What are we?
Yeah,
It's guys, it's
doing.
possible. It's possible.
It is. You can do it. Do that
all
for
the
us.
time.
Yeah. Did Daniel talk about us seeing Phantom Menace in
No,
theaters at
he
all?
didn't.
Did he talk about that? That was pretty. Well, I was having an out of body experience because I met him and our friend Bruce, who
Yes.
is not really a big Star Wars person, but he loves the Phantom Menace because he loves Queen
Amidala.
Amidala. And so as a child,
That's
he saw
funny.
it in theaters 11 times.
Wow.
So
He beat me.
yeah, he beat me too. And when he was cleaning out his childhood bedroom during lockdown, he sent me almost his entire Amidala collection. So I have like
That's hilarious.
all of his like vintage stuff from when we were kids, which is
That's
so kind of him.
hysterical.
Anyways, so when they were going to do this theatrical re-release, he was like, we have to go. And I was like, okay, well, I'll invite Daniel, even though I know he will not really care about seeing it in theaters again, but it's nostalgic and
Yes.
it's Star Wars, so he'll come. And so we met at the South Bay Galleria, which is an indoor mall, and I haven't been in an indoor mall in
Since
perhaps
1999.
honestly in at least like 10 years. I don't know why. I just like I always go to outside malls now. So first of all, we're meeting at this mall, and the mall has not been changed since the late 90s.
No.
So it already looks like that. I'm going to see Star Wars Episode 1 in the theaters, and the entire mall too. Like there was a Spencer's Gifts, there
Jeez.
was a hot dog on a stick.
Yeah.
There was a Sanrio store. I literally was like,
Wow.
I don't know what year it is.
Wow.
This is so weird. And then we saw the movie in theaters, which was super fun. And it's been so long since I've like actually watched Episode 1. Like I usually for May the 4th do a full rewatch of
Yeah, it's
everything.
on in the background.
It's on. I'm
Yeah.
kind of like cleaning my house and making food during that movie. But yeah, so it was really interesting to like watch it, to really watch it. And man, Jar Jar Binks, I cannot believe how much I liked him as a child. It's never ending. It is never ending.
It is relentless.
It just never ends. But the costumes are amazing, and there's obviously many incredible things that happen in that movie.
Well, and Veronica wanted to see that in theaters because, and I needed to clarify because she's still not, she doesn't remember the titles to all of them, so she gets confused on which one is which. But when she said Episode 1 is my favorite of all the Star Wars,
did she not mean actual Episode 1?
No, she did.
She did.
But I
She loved it.
had to. I was
You
like,
had to double check.
oh, you mean number 4?
4.
With,
Yeah.
like the first Star Wars movie.
Yes.
She's like, wait, which one is the one? With Darth Maul, and I was like,
oh no, she means Episode 1.
The Phantom Menace is, as of now, we haven't watched the sequels yet. We're still working our way through the end of Mandalorian. That is her favorite Star Wars at the moment.
That's great.
So,
no, honestly, and there are so many parts of it like that are absolutely amazing, and so many.
the pod race. It's just
it's so much fun.
I can't believe that's 1999.
Yes, it's
It
wild.
looks so,
and then they
so
spent
good.
so much money on that by the time we've got the actual like Naboo war situation happening, they're just like, it's a terrible green screen. They're just like, just hurry it up. But yeah. I mean, honestly, Amidala's costumes alone make it worth seeing it on a big screen. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were giggling about several things that were like, oh, that didn't particularly age very well. But it was super fun to see in theaters. I'm really glad that we did it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm driving home. My mom's not picking me up. It is actually 2024.
Wow.
was so weird. I couldn't Bruce was already at the mall when I got there, and he watched me come in, and I literally was just looking around
It's
what
nuts.
what's going on? It was so weird. But
Well,
really
and
fun.
I mean, truly, what year is it? Because Phantom Menace was number 2 at the box office this past weekend.
I know. That's what I
It's like
mean. It's
it's
like
what
we were.
it's
It's like we were in 1999.
jeez.
Yeah, wild.
Well,
But
I mean, I'll see you for Attack of the Clones in theaters. We'll see how
that'd be
that's held up.
I'll see it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, can we talk about the fact it's been 25 years?
I know that part. I was like, I don't feel old until I hear. I don't feel old. I don't feel like an old person. But when I hear numbers 25 years ago, but I remember
All of it.
vividly seeing that in theaters. I
Yeah, I do
remember
too.
that
I mean,
time of my life.
I was a first grader, but I remember it
Yeah,
very,
I
very,
was
very well.
I was 10 years old. So I
Oh.
remember that. Daniel was in high school. He was like, I ditched high school to go see it. So crazy.
But what's more frightening is that we are further from the prequels releasing than we were at the time the prequels came out from the originals releasing.
I know.
That's terrifying.
It's not good.
It's not good.
It's not
It's
good.
not good. Whatever that is.
Whatever it is. I
And
don't
we're
like
10
that.
years on from just about 10 years on from Force
From
Awakens.
Force Awakens. I know.
I was at that Star Wars celebration.
Our whole concept of time is totally messed up from
and I know we
lockdown.
lost
It
3
really
years
is.
in there.
Yeah,
But,
that's
or
why.
2 years in there. But 10 years? You're telling me it's almost been 10 years since that Star Wars celebration when Star Wars came? It's like I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trippy, really trippy.
Well,
What is time? But the Bad Batch. We'll go back to the Bad Batch. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about it? I mean,
long and short, it stuck its landing. I think it justified its existence, which
mm-hmm.
there were times I was worried about that. But yeah, a worthy addition. I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah, for sure. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All what you said. I'd like to see Omega in some capacity. I don't know what.
Sure.
But something.
I think that's a good bet. That's a good bet.
Indeed.
What do we have next? I think we go into Marvel land next.
Uh-huh.
Am I incorrect in saying that? Is Deadpool...
What's happening? We've got Acolyte coming in June.
Oh, excuse me. Duh, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
more Star Wars first, and then
new Star Wars.
Yeah, so they did show a scene from Acolyte at the
Daniel
very
did
end.
say that.
Yes, and that was exciting too because one of Bruce's friends, Charlie, is in it.
Oh, very cool.
So that was exciting.
That's
he
very
went to
cool.
high school with him, so he got to see his pal on the big screen. That was
very
pretty cool. Yeah, it looks really great. If you haven't read the comics, the High Republic comics, or any of the novels or anything, this will all be very new to you. But I'm excited to see that many Jedi.
Yeah,
together.
at the height of their powers and delusion, apparently.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, so Acolyte's coming first week of June.
Okay, so yes, more Star Wars on the
that'll
way, and then Deadpool.
Yeah, and I just caught up on X-Men 97 today.
We are going to chat about.
We definitely should.
X-Men.
Yeah, perhaps once there's 2 more episodes, so maybe we'll do a full
once X-Men wraps up. I think we need to
full
talk
season because wow, they're nailing it. It's I hope that Marvel is taking notes on how successful this type of storytelling and this. I mean, you can do a lot more in animated series as far as action is concerned for less money. So,
well, I think you're right. And Feige made some comments recently, basically acknowledging that the last crop of movies have failed to, in his words, ignite the world. And I think Marvel being an underdog again in terms of public perception is the best place for them to be.
Absolutely. It
And I
manages
think
expectations.
kind of
It does.
re-kickstarting it with Deadpool, I think that is a wise decision as well.
Yeah. It will do well.
Yeah.
It will do well. But yeah, this X-Men series, it's like, speaking of having a weird time thing, I'm like transported. I am transported to like eating cereal in front of the TV.
Like, what year is it? I'm watching a rerun of the X-Men cartoon before going to see Phantom Menace in theaters. Like, what?
That's what I mean.
I just got home from
That's how
school.
you know that
What
we are
year
getting
is this?
older, because it is like pure nostalgia, you know?
Oh,
Weird. But yeah, if you're watching X-Men 97 and you have thoughts about it that you would like us to talk about when we do that recap episode, send us a message, comment in the YouTube, and tell us what you thought of The Bad Batch season 3.
The Bad
Batch. All right, cool. Well, thanks for chatting with me, Dino, and thanks for listening, you people, if you are still listening. This is Inside the Tauntaun. I'm Alyssa Simmons.
And I'm Dino Nicandros.
May the Force be with you.
Always.
See ya.
Alyssa, Daniel, Dino, talking nerd stuff, come along. Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.